Okay, I'm going to call this finance meeting to order. Members present are Mr. Bug, Mr. Cost, Mr. Frazier, Mr. Johnson filling in for Mr. Marby, and myself. We have Resolution 17-8 that has three parts to it. The first part, there is hereby an appropriation of the unappropriated balance of the 153 Compensated Absences Fund in the amount of $2,400 payout for Aaron Robbins. Mr. Baum, is that you?
Not Aaron Robbins. Oh, yeah, AJ.
Oh, okay.
AJ Robbins. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Aaron Robbins. That's AJ. AJ Robbins. All right. Yes. $2,400 for Mr. Robbins from the fire department, who terminated his service to become self-employed.
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bug, second by Mr. Frazier. Are there any questions from the committee? Any from the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-7. We'll go on to full council.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Section number 2. There is hereby an appropriation of the unappropriated balance of the 100 general fund in the amount of $14,560. Hi there.
Hi, I'm Kelly Brush. I'm the Chief Deputy in the Clerk of Court's office. And what happened was an error of using a stamp to cancel a purchase order when it was a multi-vendor. And one invoice went through and the stamp was used to say close the invoice or close the PO. So we just need that money moved back into that PO to finish the construction
Okay.
invoices.
Anybody up here have any questions?
Motion.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Bug,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions from the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We'll move on to full council. Okay, thank you, Kelly. Section 3. There is hereby an appropriation of the unappropriated balance of the 100 general fund in the amount of $10,350 Reddington Road Park upgrades. Ms. Gillis.
This appropriation came from Licking County Foundation grant, and we will be putting the $10,350 from the foundation along with capital improvements has a request for the local share towards multiple upgrades at Reddington Road Park.
Okay. And this is expedited.
Yep.
Is there a deadline?
Waive the second reading.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bug, second by Mr. Frazier. Any questions from the committee?
I have one.
Okay.
Is the local match the same that we have to do out of CI? Or
Pardon me?
is our match for capital improvements?
It's not identical. The capital improvements match is $14,528.
Good.
Okay. Any other questions? Any questions in the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. We have one more issue, which is, as soon as I get to it, Resolution 1709, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor of the city of Newark to submit an application to the Ohio Department of Public Safety for an award of fiscal year 2017-2018 funding under the Ohio EMS Training and Equipment Grant Program.
This is our annual application for EMS supplies that we received through a grant from the Ohio Department of Public Safety.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Fox.
Second.
Second by Mr. Frazier. Any questions
I have.
from up here? No.
How much did we get last year?
$2,750. And the state determines the amount based on data that they reviewed across the state.
Okay.
When did they award this grant?
When do they award it? We usually receive word in May, and the state's fiscal year starts July 1st.
So they'll let you know in May for the following year?
We will know in May for the 2017-18 year.
Yep.
Any other questions from the committee? Any from the audience? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries, moves on to full council.
Thank
And
you.
that's it for Finance Committee. Street Committee is next. Members of the committee, of the Street Committee present are Ms. Hall, Mr. Blake, Mr. Raff, Mr. Valletta, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Bugg sitting in for Mr. Marmee, and myself. We are to discuss Ordinance 1707 vacating a future street right-of-way as shown on the plat of the Village of Deer Run Phase 1 subdivision as recorded in Plat Book 14, page 218, 219 of the Licking County Plat Records. Said right-of-way is located between 1407 and 1427 Misty Glen Drive. Mr. Moorhead.
Yes, thank you. We got a request from one of the adjacent property owners there to vacate the right-of-way. Actually, all the adjacent property owners signed the petition in favor of vacating the right-of-way. I don't know, I have the drawing in the packet here, but Misty Glen Drive, when it was originally developed in Phase 1 of Deer Run subdivision, it had a street stub platted going to the south. Consequently, I think the third phase of Deer Run has lots down that cross, that basically block that street right away. And so there's no chance that the street would ever be extended to connect the two without buying somebody's house and taking that from them. So all three of the adjoining property owners have signed the petition. They're in favor of vacating the right-of-way. It was actually approved by our Planning Commission back in 2004 to replat that and get rid of that, but for some reason or another, the plat was never recorded, and I think there's some potential right-of-way or some potential real estate transfers happening out there, and so we'd like to clean it up at this point.
Okay.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Bugg, second by Mr. Johnson. Does anybody up here have any questions? Anybody on the committee? Yes, Mr. Rapp.
Yeah, the signatures I see from the FITS 1446 Megan Hamlin, or Megan Elaine, I guess I can't read the name of the road.
Yeah, Megan
I
Elaine.
assume that's the property that is on the dead end side of that.
Exactly, yep.
That's down on that, okay.
Yes, yeah, the right-of-way backs up right at their backyard.
I want people driving
Yeah.
through there.
No.
Okay, I have a motion. Are there any questions from the audience? Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0, or 7-0. We'll move on to full council. Streets done. Time for service.
Call this service committee meeting to order. Those present are myself, Rath, Cost, Bub, Frazier, and Floyd. Up first, consider Resolution 17-05, extending the authority of the temporary Board of Zoning District Revision. Here speaking of that is Mr. Moorhead. Mr.
Yes.
Moorhead, you have the floor.
Thank you. This is probably, I believe, the third time we've done this since the zoning code has changed back in 2009. But basically, there's a temporary board of zoning district revision that was set up in the code. It had a sunset on it, and we've extended that a couple of times in the past. Since the last time, it actually, the sunset is called for to be next month, and we would like to extend it 2 more years. The administration and zoning inspector and chair of the BZA felt that this was an appropriate thing to do. it's helpful in cleaning up issues with the zoning map that we're still finding here 7-8 years after the code was developed. So if there's any other questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Brian, how long was the extension last time?
2 years.
All right. Any questions from the committee? Mr. Frazier?
Are we just going to extend this as there still needs? The temporary board thing is what the question's about. Is there always going to be a need for this, or?
Well, we keep finding needs for it, so I guess the answer is probably yes. We've been playing it 2 years at a time the last 2 times, so but those needs keep developing, and we keep finding issues with the map. I would say over the course of the next 2 years, we'll probably, the economy's come up in the last couple of years, and we're seeing more development and more reuse of some of the properties, so some of the owners are more interested in doing different things, so that's where it really benefits.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I happen to be on that committee, and we usually meet, 3-4 times a year. I mean, it's not very often, but when it is, it's somebody who either is going to do something they didn't plan to do with it and they thought it was under the old zoning code, or they just assumed that's what it was. So I think there's probably a value in still continuing to have it.
We have a motion by Mr. Cox.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Frazier. Are there any other questions or comments from the committee? Questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor of passing this on to full council signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That passes 5-0.
Thank you.
And Service Committee is adjourned. Up next will be Safety Committee.
Good evening. This is the Safety Committee. Here is Frazier, Blake, Johnson, Floyd, and Rath in attendance. The first and only item on the agenda today is Ordinance 1706, amending Chapter 618 of the Codified Ordinance of the City of Newark, Ohio to regard the requirement that all dogs be leashed and under the reasonable control of some person. Mr. Bond.
This was left out of the law when it was rewritten, or the ordinance when it was rewritten. This is nothing new. It was in there before. We just need to insert it back in. Penalties are the same. Everything's the same. It was an omission.
And you do use this, and there is value added by having this in.
Absolutely. We take these on complaint-driven issues, and Toby and his rounds sees these violations and can act on them that way.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Rath. Any additional questions by the committee? Any additional questions from the audience? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be adjourned to the next committee. Just capital improvements.
Capital Improvements Committee, called to order. Discussion on Resolution 1707 appropriating monies for the current expenses of the municipal corporation. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Committee members present are Hall, Rath, Frazier, Roletta, and Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tonight what I'm requesting is $16,260 out of the capital improvements budget. It's for licensing for new servers. The city has approximately 20 servers, and this is a licensing agreement so that if one of the servers becomes out of date, the new software through these licensing agreements will pull the server back into date. It's a 3-year commitment, and it'll keep us updated.
Any questions from the committee?
Yeah. I have one. So the 16,000 is for all 3 years?
No, $16,000 per
year for 3 years?
Yes.
Any other questions from the committee? Any from the audience?
I have another question. Thank you,
Mr. Chair. When you say pull and keep up to date, what do you mean by that?
When a server becomes out of date, this...
You mean software-wise?
Software-wise.
Okay.
This licensing agreement will allow new software to be downloaded on the server and keep it current.
And what's the software?
I'd have to check.
Okay, okay.
We run different software throughout the city.
Yeah, just
It makes it compatible.
Is there anything else like this coming up this year for software-related?
In software?
expenses? Yeah.
You know, I'd like to say no, but the software world, things change so quickly.
Okay.
I mean...
So not that on your radar, but does not...
You know, to answer your question, we're looking at additional ways to protect the city from an attack like the county had. And so we might be bringing things forward there. We're pretty comfortable with what we have, but there are other layers of firewalls and protections that you can't add. So to answer your question, we might be back, but we're not done with those discussions yet.
So on that topic, do we have disaster recovery capabilities, and do
We back up every hour.
Okay, excellent.
Any other questions? Nope. Have a motion?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Rath, second by Frazier. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next is Resolution 1707, appropriating monies for the current expenses of the municipal corporation, and $196,164.45.
Thanks. This is funding that is actually grant and loan funding that comes from the Ohio Public Works Commission, and it's on a project that we were underway with last year. Director Rhodes is going to contribute to the project over here.
Hate to see what happens when they squat.
So basically, this was funding that was appropriated last year, and the auditor's office closed that account at the end of the year. We did not have it in the first piece of legislation of the year to reappropriate it, so this is the remainder to reappropriate and continue on. The total amount of that grant and loan is $650,000, so there's $196,164.45 left of that. And again, we will continue along with the work out on West Main Street as soon as construction season starts here this spring.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Rath. Second by Levin. Any additional discussion? In the audience? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
And then 1707, appropriating monies for the current expenses, recreational supplies, $14,528.
What this is an appropriation of the Capital Improvements Fund. It's for Reddington Park, as Barbara spoke about earlier in the last couple of committees. We did get grant dollars. This is our share of the match to totally redo that park. And when I say redo, that'll be the parking lot, that'll be the basketball courts, that'll be outdoor fencing for the baseball fields, which is not currently there. That'll be the backstop that's kind of tattered. But we were fortunate enough to get a grant, and this is our matching share, and we'll bring that park pretty much up to snuff.
How much, is there any unused space in that park?
Oh, I think anybody could look at any park and say, yeah, there's a little here, a little there. Would you have on your mind?
Acre or so?
I don't know.
For a dog park?
Well, there's discussions on the dog park now, and if we're just chatting about parks off the topic, there's a group of us working together on a master plan for Flory Park. When I say group, there's about 10 of us. We've met many times. different funders in the room, the city, the Licking County Foundations, the Flory family, and the YMCA, and we're working on a master plan to maybe realign those moguls, maybe put a dog park down there, maybe put a disc golf course there, and I think there was just $30,000 appropriated through the Licking County Foundation for tree removal to make room for that disc golf course. So I think the city's going to see a dog park, and I think it'll probably be in that area. That doesn't mean we can't do another one, but let me look at it. But we're going to get one.
I'm not particular as to whether it ends up in my ward or not. That's not why I'm asking that. But I do think that we are woefully behind the times in failing to provide for that with as many parks as we have.
Yep.
And failing and for something that is such a minimal cost of maintenance to maintain.
Yep.
I think we're
I agree with
way
you.
behind the times in providing that for our citizens.
I agree with you, and that's what we're working on.
And we're not doing 19 dog parks, right?
No, not 19.
Okay.
Maybe just 18. Maybe we'll put one behind you there, Mark.
Right smack in the middle of
Motion.
Hudson.
Second.
Motion by Roletta,
What I already made.
second by Paul. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
5-0. And finally, we have under capital improvements, Resolution 1710, authorizing and directing the Director of Public Service, City of Newark, to enter into a lease agreement with Park National Bank for the lease purchase of 2 dump trucks for the Streets and Control Division.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Barbara came in and she spoke to the fact that we got $140,000 some odd dollar grant. This is the other half of that. We're going to do a lease purchase agreement on that so it doesn't drain the capital improvements fund. I'll do it over 3 years. The first payment will be due in the calendar year of 2018, and it'll be 19 and 20, and then those trucks will be paid for and they'll be ours. And for accounting reasons, you write it as a lease option.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Roletta. Second by Frazier.
I have a question.
Mr. Frazier?
What was the payment amount each year? I'm sorry if you said that already.
I'll have to look.
Yeah.
If I'm guessing, 60, 50 some thousand.
Any comments from the audience? Anything else from the committee? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And that concludes our
Committee.
committee. Yes.